This Maamar, by the way, I just realized it's in the back of it's semi-muga, so it's in the back of the Malukit. Back of Malukit Chelak Aleph. Okay, so there's a lot of moving parts. Let's make a quick summary. A quick summary of. So basically, it's to explain the psukim. That's how the Maamar begins. It's based on the mind of the Marash, and the Rebbe has an introduction, a conclusion, and this hosapa is throughout the Maamar, as we can see. He says v'yesh lahosef. So it's all to explain the hemshech psukim, because he guards us like the pupil of his eye. Therefore, Knesher Yoir Kino, the eagle, and he carries us on his wings. Hashem bod l'janchenu. Hashem leads us alone. The word alone applies both to him and to us uniquely. But it's all based on Yitzrenu Ke'ishon Einoi. So he explains that the zinyan of Yinayim B'chalal, of eyes in general, there's a pupil of the eye. An eye in general goes on Malachim. There's Meshoitetim and Meshoitetos. Masculine and feminine, two categories of malachim. It means to scan or to like malachim fly, you know. That's the imagery of it's based on the pasuk. So that's an eye in general is malachim, but the pupil or the apple of the eye, that's Eden. To understand that, the Rebbe Marash brings the pasuk Parshas Kisovoi, where there's this word Ha'amart and Ha'mircha that appears. Unusual words that Rashi says have no parallel except one associated parallel. So what are the three meanings of Havaya Ha'amarta, as to God, and Vavaya Ha'mircha, Hayoim. Hayoim is important because he says later it's Rosh Hashanah. So he brought the kash of the Rechaim. Mele, we praise Hashem. That's what's the Yeir here. What is Hashem's praise of Vasa doing? He hasn't answered that question. So in this Ha'amart and Mircha, he brought three pirushim. The Marash brings one pirush, the Rebbe has three pirushim. The Marash's pirush is, Hashem says, you made me chativa achas ba'olam. Chativa means brigade, but here I think it means something unique. Something unique in the world. I make you something unique in the world. Where did you make me unique? Where's that expressed? When you Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. I make you unique, as the pasuk says, Mikam Chak Yisrael Ge'echad Ba'aretz. The Echad. Okay. So then the Rebbe adds elsewhere that the three pirushim to Amarta. The first one, like we just said, unique, it's a praise. Second one, he brings some psukim, a garment. And the third pirush, words. And that's a connection to Hayom Rosh Hashanah. Because Hayom refers to Rosh Hashanah when unqualified. Rosh Hashanah is all three in Yonim. Make me special, says God, make me king. That's the first pirush. Second pirush, when Adam was created, which was on Rosh Hashanah, he said, Havayim Molech Geyus Lavish. God, King, has garbed himself in grandeur. So it's the union of what? Of Lavush, referring to the Lavush of Malchus. He has garbed himself in the garment of sovereignty of Malchus. And the third pirush, speech, Rosh Hashanah is the of Dibur. All these things explained, of course, at length. And we're all familiar with these themes of Rosh Hashanah. Okay, just to get the flow here again. So the Rebbe Marash, to understand the pupil of the eye, introduces he gives one pirush, he made me special, echad, the two echads, that's to Hashem, Hashem to us. The Rebbe adds three pirushim to it, another two, all tied into the Hayom, the renewal of this relationship. Okay. Now continuing with the first pirush, praise. You praise me with Hashem Echad, I praise you. Havai Hamircha Goyach. And this itself is Gimel Pirushim. Okay, so there's 3 Pirushim in Ha'amarta Pirush 1. We're clear? With the flow, yeah? What are the 3 Pirushim? Number 1, Echad, and no one like him. And now this is the Shaila. How can there be such a Kasalka Daitoch that there is something like Hashem? Even the nations of the world acknowledge He's Elokad Elokai. So what's the Echad coming to say, according to this first Pirush? Second Pirush, that Echad is negating Avodah Zarah. And he brought a fascinating medrash. Where did Yidden merit the mitzvah of Kriya Shema? Was from Matan Torah. It was a result of a spontaneous dialogue. The Eibishter said, listen, Yidden, Anochev Alikecha. And Yidden said, Hashem Alikeinu. The Eibishter said, Yilecha Alikim Acherim. Yidden said, Hashem Echad. So that whole dialogue creates the Shema Yisrael, Hashem Alikeinu, Hashem Echad. But we see from here that Havai Alikeinu and then Havai Echad corresponds to Anochi is Havai Alikeinu. Havai Echad is like Yilecha. So what's the second Pirush in Echad? No Avodah Zarah. Okay. The first Pirush was nothing comparable to you. The second Pirush, Echad, is negating Avodah Zarah. And the third Pirush, which is Liyachadoi, he says, it's a mitzvah, Liyachadoi, to declare his unity. That is Shoylul what? Even Shittuf. The nations of the world are commanded not to serve Avodah Zarah, but Shittuf, a partnership, for them is permissible. Maybe she told the Moishe Gan Eden, Vitzah, he commanded him, so that's understood to mean the Isra Avodah Zarah. He wasn't told about Shittuf, and therefore that remains permissible. There's different shittus in what Shittuf means, but then that's in general. So this is unique to Yidden. Now comes the Bira Inyan. The Bira Inyan, we started looking at his Gimel. Just 1 second. So basically, Gimel started learning that the nations of the world, how do they praise Hashem? They say, Hashem is exalted above all nations, Allah Shemaim Kvodah. Because since creation is ilava for them, and what does that mean? For the nations of the world, the creator is the creator. That's what God is a creator. I told you that I was involved for many years in meditation, trying to reach Eden. And what's the whole meditation? The whole meditation, at best, it isn't tainted by idolatry, which it often is. Hence, the Rebbe is called for a kosher meditation. I should tell you a story, one fascinating story, how it all happened, that I brought down this younger man whose son is a shteich in Aruba today, who learned from Landis, who got direction from the Rebbe, to make a kosher, even yoga type meditation, because all the symbolism is idolatry. But at best, at any rate, what is the objective? The objective is to tune into the transcendent creation. That's the divine. The divine is nature at its unified source. In other words, Hashem is a creator. That's a pretty extraordinary talent to create the universe. So it's all Ilava Olol. He's a great artist that produces this incredible work of art. And so it's to appreciate the artist. So that's all Ilava Olol. So if you appreciate the artist, then the appreciation is higher as you go back closer and closer to his inner workings, as opposed to the final product. You're looking deeper, probing deeper and deeper. Ilava Olol. So therefore, Allah Shemaim Kavodah. Where do you see his glory? It's in the higher levels of creation. They're more expressive of him than the lower ones. Like the work of art has all kinds of levels to it. It's the sublime levels of the art that is where the glory of the artist resides, not in the physical component. So that's part of the art. Hence they say Allah Shemaim Kavodah, but Eden know that the Eibishter is not a creator. He's the creator. He's not a creator. And therefore, the whole creation is radical. It's all yesh ma'ayin. Even Shemayim is yesh ma'ayin. There's no more glory in Shemayim than in earth, be'emes. You brought the pasuk, hayoshvi b'shamayim. Number one, to create Shemayim is a yeshiva. It's a descent for him, sitting. And then there's a yud at the end. It should have said hayoshvi b'shamayim. The yud at the end, I'm not sure even how it translates, hayoshvi. The one who sitteth, I don't know, but the one who sits, who dwells. What's the yud at the end? The yud is that even in the yeshiva, which means the hashpala, the descent to create Shemayim, even that is only in the ha'ara. Katnas and hashpala yesera, he says, in addition to the general hashpala descent conveyed by the notion of sitting. And that's as we say in Tilim, Makbil or Sheves. He dwells on high, Hamashpili, and descends. Lilo is by Shemayim and V'aretz equally. Shemayim and V'aretz is an equal descent. Okay, yeah? That's what we're up to. Now we're up to a whole beautiful thing coming down Hashgacha Pratis. I will see the Ha'aris a little bit. Yeah, we're up to this. If you have the same sefer, it's page Chav Gimel, 3 lines in the top. If you have what I sent you, it's Ois Gimel, the third down, by the number 30, just below that. We have the flow, basically. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. So, mezeh muchach gam b'negei li'in ha'hashgacha pratis. Mezeh from this, from what? That both Shemayim and Oretz are equal before him. So, from this, perforce, we understand hashgacha pratis. In other words, if there was, for the Ummah Sa'ilom, there's a distance. The higher worlds are closer, the lower worlds are further. So if the lower worlds are further, there's less investment. And Hashgacha Pratis is not the same as in the higher worlds. But for the Eibishter, it's all equal. So Hashgacha Pratis extends to everything. Now, just to explain, this is a big chiddush of the Baal Shem Tov. The Rambam in Meir and Nevuchim enumerates 9 levels of Hashgacha, the highest being the higher creations, including the tzaddik, and the lowest actually the lowest probably is the Rasha, the wicked person who turns his back on God. So the words there are that he's mufker, Hashem divests his Hashgacha from him, and the Rasha is cast to the caprice, that's the word of nature, the whims of nature. There's 9 levels there. And understanding it b'pashtos, it's very clear that Hashgacha Pratis, only the higher you are, the more you're deserving, as it were, of divine providence, the more you're a keli of it, the more divine providence governs you. Long came the Baal Shem Tov and said that Hashgacha Pratis extends to everything, as he says, you all know, even a leaf being blown by the wind, and as beautifully illustrated in the song by Yom Tov Erlich that Avram Fried popularized in his famous Yiddish album.
Is a leaf that fell off a tree already considered a daimim?
It's a daimim, yeah. The end is it's for this. So a verimal, the worm, should be covered because of that. But it's a daimim. And the big chiddush is that it's the Rebbe adds actually to the Baal Shem Tov in Hashgacha Pratis is not only is the Hashgacha Pratis, but every detail is integral to the whole kavanah. That's what's integral to the Dirib Tachtonim. Not just being watched over, but a lesser role. And everything has the same essential role. Okay, that's not that he doesn't go into those pratim here now. just derech hagav, just thinking of this record. It's a Yiddish record. It's called the Yiddish Gems that Avram Fried made. The fact is, Avram Fried and Mordechai and David, to some degree, succeeded in Afotis and Vayonis more than anybody, period. In the songs, first bringing Mashiach, but Hashgacha Pratis, Neshama, many, especially Avram Fried, many of his songs, Mamash bringing the Yisraelis Chassidus to the whole Torah world. And now, Y.Y. Jacobson, and was, the darling of the Chassidic world, is Mamash making a revolution there. Sheikh's Taub also to a degree, Manas before him. So let's see Hashgacha Pratis here. Hashgacha in the Rakam in the Medaber. The Hashgacha Pratis is not only on the species of man, as basically stated in the Rambam, all individual creatures, even the inanimate. Okay, it's not the teaching of the Baal Shem Tov. Imagine this teaching wasn't revealed till the Frierdiker Rebbe revealed it. Who says she is Hashgacha Pratis afilu hanovel min ha'ila. There's Hashgacha Pratis on that which falls off a tree, in other words, a leaf. And then the wind blows it from one place to another. If it will end up being blown, and how it's blown down the street or down the forest floor. Oh, here the Rebbe adds. It's really based on the diak of the Frierdiker Rebbe, but the Rebbe brings out it's negeya. This tiny detail is negeya to the whole kavanah of Dira B'Tachtonim. It's a meidike chiddush. Now there's a big outcry. It was one of the tainas against Chassidus. Was what this kind of business is this? Similar to the Tzimtzum which you spoke about. Third night, fourth night, Yosef, fourth night, Tzemach Tzedek. I'm sorry, Aaron, the Tzemach Tzedek, the fourth night of Sukkot. So the Rebbe brings a Raya Nigla. Now this Raya Nigla that he brings, we're going to look at. There's other apparent Rayas as well, but at the end this is the best Raya. That Tzemach Tzedek brings it in the Rishimis of Tzedek on Tehillim. He brings out the Alter Rebbe quoted this, was one of the tiniest, Hashgacha Pratis, and even it was a convincing tshuva nitzchis, an eternal argument that no one can refute on the Baal Shem Tov shit. And what is it? The Yesod of this, Hashgacha Pratis, extends all the way down to the smallest creature, is a statement in Chulin. Rabbi Yochanan, the Gemara says, he saw a stork. So they dive into the water and they pluck a fish. It's a stork, maybe it's not a heron, a bird like that. He said, your judgment extends to the great depth. The Pirush Rashi, what did he mean? Shezimanta shalach, you arranged, Eibishter. The heron, the stork, lishboy to judge, valasis tikmoscha, and to carry out your vengeance, but the gas hayom, for the fish of the ocean, lahamis hamuzumanim lamos, to kill those who have been designated that the fish has to die. This fish has to be caught. The specific fish. So here we see very interesting words of Rashi, revenge against the fish. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's explained anywhere, but that's not the point. The point is the specific fish by this specific bird is your judgment. Your judgment extends to the great depth. So that's the Rai in the end that endures, we'll see. Says in Medrash Parshas Vayishlach. So one of the Meroyim was observing a trapper, a bird trapper, and he said, "Shegam tzipor, the bird, mi belod shmaya, without heaven's decree, lay mitzdados, doesn't get trapped. Shebaskol yoytze ve'omer, a heavenly voice issues forth and says, either it says dimus, these are not Hebrew words. This bird is to be saved. You're not going to catch this one. Oy spakula. Death and punishment. Here too, we see that the individual bird is determined by a heavenly voice, which one is caught, which one is not. The Rebbe says, this is the Rebbe's old Hosapa here. From the Medrash is not such a right. Look at Order 34. Everybody sees Order 34? See the footnote on this mind, which is Moga.
It's Order 35.
Maybe it's Order 35. Ah, that's interesting. Maybe it's Order 34. Okay. Lahoyer, so there he writes, Lahoyer is a Kabbalah Sefer, Mareches Ashgacha, under the Mareches means under the category where it deals with Ashgacha, who says, look at the star. What does he say there? The star tells us, 64 out of 41, there he quotes it, and says, that in the story of the heavenly voice saying which bird yes, which bird not, that can be understood, says the Kelis Yaakov, who's making that voice? Not the Eibishter, but the Sa'al L'mayla, but not the Eibishter himself is directly involved. Doesn't say clearly. It's a Basker. Who says the Basker? Mishpatecha, Tohim Rabba, that's Hashenki Mechulin, Harim Mefurun Shishpatecha. You, Eibishter, directly involved in determining which. So that's the Tshuva Nitzchi. Let's go back to the order now. The Yeshloima, there the Rebbe says, the Lachain Tshuva Nitzchi is Hevi Rabbeinu. Therefore, the Tshuva Nitzchi, the Nitzchi is not Nitzchi, sorry, Nitzeches. Nitzeches means Nitzochem. And a Tshuva that is victorious, a victorious answer, which you can't refute. The Hevi Rabbeinu, the Alter Rebbe brings, Rishas Chulin Dafke, quoted by the Tzemach Tzedek. From this in Chulin, because that's clear, Mishpatecha. Right? We're clear? It's two sources, but one of them is unequivocally the Eibishter's direct involvement. Second one could be Malachim. The Sar means the Malachim above, but he's not involved. Okay. Vikar Haraya, so the Ikar Raya, he Mimaymer Azal the Chulin, and now the Ikar Raya from Chulin. And it's from the Gemara. This Gemara that brings his response, quoted by the Tzemach Tzedek. Who said, Shashgacha practice only extends to man. So it's explicit in Chulin. Even on the fish of the ocean, there's Shashgacha pratis, lahazmin sholach, to arrange, literally to invite. Lahazmin means to designate. This bird, who will pluck out of the water those designated to be taken. Now, Shaila. It says in Posuk in Chabakuk, you made man like the fish of the ocean. What's the Maimar Chazal? The Gemara Aved Zora says, the meaning of the pasuk is just like in the ocean, the bigger fish swallows the smaller one. So to people in Moli Mirosh Malchus, I'm sorry. In Moli Mirosh Malchus, if not for the fear of government, one person would swallow his fellow alive. So the Choda we're talking about using the imagery of the fish. On the contrary, there it's all survival of the fittest, not determined by the Eibishter. No question. It's not a shaila. Ein hakavoret doesn't mean shebli is hadaga da godly manner. It doesn't mean to say that the swallowing of the small fish by the bigger one, upaloi din on mishpat, is without the heavenly decision. But it's similar to what Rashi said. I'm going to stop here because there's a particular little pilpul, very, very beautiful. So I'm going to tell the story now, and we will revisit this Be'ez Hashem on Monday. Yeah?